Hey everybody, Jonathan Bailor back with another bonus Calorie Myth and Smarter Science of Slim show. Very excited about today's show because we have the one, the only, the founder of the insanely popular workout program P90X, as well as the author of the brand new book, fellow HarperCollins author, and the book is called The Big Picture, 11 Laws That Will Change Your Life. Tony Horton, welcome to the show, brother.
Jonathan, my man. Glad to be here, man.
Tony, I don't know if you know this, but I actually work over at I worked at Microsoft over on the fitness team, so I got to see you, and I got to see all the wonderful P90X action there with the Xbox Connect, and it was really, really cool. You were everywhere.
That's very exciting. Yeah, we're really excited about that project, trying to deliver P90X in a brand new way. Maybe to a lot of folks that are afraid of an infomercial product and are fired up to do it through the Xbox. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. So you've got the Xbox stuff, you've got the video stuff, you've got the book stuff, but I want to back up. I want to back up because you have created nothing short of an empire, and I like to hear the story behind that because you're a motivated guy. You've been at this for decades, and I don't know if a lot of people know that, right? They're just like, oh, Tony, instant success, he's lucky. What's the backstory? Tell us about the 10,000 hours.
People don't realize I'm 85 years old, so I've done this for a very long time. A lot of people don't know my story, I think, as I go back. And I was a kid who was not athletic by any means. I'd be optimistic to say I had a C- average through school. And yeah, we moved around a lot when I was a kid. My father was in the military, then he moved with jobs. So, I was in some places for a couple of months, and then we'd move again. So it was kind of a rough start. I was the kid that got beat up at the bus stop and shoved in the locker and had his lunch money stolen, the whole 9 yards. And but we finally settled in Connecticut, and I was able to grow some roots in one place for more than a couple of years. And but still, I was on the football team, but I was more of a tackling dummy really between Monday and Thursday than an actual player. I would roll around in the mud in the pregame warm-ups so it looked like I was playing. Yeah, and I didn't make the tennis team, which was frustrating, but I was pretty good with individual sports. I was on a gymnastics team at one of the schools as a kid, but we moved and we got to the new school. They didn't have gymnastics, and I'm doing it now in my 50s, which I really enjoy. And I've been an avid skier for years, and that was the one thing that I could do as a kid that I didn't feel like I'd have to compete with anybody. It was all just me in the mountain, me in the terrain, me in the run, and I enjoyed that. But when I moved out to California in 1980, I was kind of blown away by this entire lifestyle out here. In Connecticut, upstate New York, Rhode Island, you've only got about 3 or 4 months where the weather's pretty decent, where you can get outside. And there weren't gyms on every corner. The gym was at school. It was on the college campus or at the high school. And it usually wasn't a very exciting or interesting experience. It was never very fun. It always, going to the gym reminded me of pain and agony. So when I came out to California and I saw that there were these really interesting bodybuilding gyms and aerobic gyms and all these different kinds of avenues in which to exercise. And, there were usually a lot of very pretty women in these. And that was an incentive for me. I'm a single kid from Connecticut, and it just seemed like a better and more interesting way to meet people than going to a bar, which I did too. But this way in the gym, the lifestyle was more of what I was interested in. And I just got caught up. I got caught up in the training, and I joined a gym, and I was doing aerobics classes. And typically, there was 3 guys in the class, and it was all women. And I thought, well, why aren't there more guys in here? This is insane. But I would do everything. I go to the track. I just loved it because it was out here. It's been sunny out here, and for like 500 days in a row. In California, we finally got some the other day. But it's just a new location created a new mindset. I was still eating crap, I was still living off of hot dogs and pizza and double cheese chimichangas, and I didn't really equate the two. I just figured I'm young and I'm exercising, and I was able to maintain my physique, but I wasn't feeling very good a lot of the time, and a lot of it had to do with the low quality food, and I know this is an area that you certainly are an expert, but I figured it out later. And then, to make a long story good, my first client was Tom Petty.
Oh, nice.
And I met him through a mutual friend. Actually, I met him through my boss, and I got Tom in phenomenal shape, you know, and he looked amazing. And he was doing these 3-hour sets, like these Bruce Springsteen-like sets. And everybody said, you know, when he's wearing sleeveless shirts and his arms are shredded, and people are thinking, what happened? And so, you know, just within a year, I was training Tom and Billy Idol and Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics, and Bruce Springsteen when he was in town, and Sean Connery, Shirley MacLaine, and, you know, later became Usher and Ewan McGregor and Allison Janney and Jason Sheff from Chicago, the band Chicago. So I had this really cool life, but I was running all over town. You know, there's only so much you could do going between Venice and Malibu and Culver City and back to Hollywood, and it was a pretty brutal day. Started usually around 5 o'clock in the morning and finished around midnight. And that was it. I didn't have to be a mime at the pier anymore, a dancer at Chippendales anymore. Have to, you know, do that plumbing gig or build that end table. You know, I had this one thing that I was doing. At the same time, I was pursuing an acting career, and I wasn't a very good actor. But you know, a lot that you see with P90X, X2, 10-Minute Trainer, X3, that, you know, my humor, my delivery is an extension of a lot of the improv work and comedy. I attempted, I'll say that, stand-up comedy for a couple of years, and that was a great education. And so it's all come together now to be this fitness guru that I've become by accident. It's an amazing ride. Like you said, it's been decades in the making, from 1980 to present, and it's a blast, man. It's just a blast. And like yourself, you know, we have this an amazing opportunity. There's so many people who are struggling with their health and their wellness. This obesity crisis now is beginning to make a shift. You know, more and more people, more corporations, more organizations, the healthcare industry is beginning to recognize that it's not pills, potions, and processed foods. It's really a healthier lifestyle that's going to provide a lot of people with the fountain of youth they've been looking for. And you and I have that opportunity, and it's just fun. You know, I mean, I had an interview yesterday with this guy who wants to do a reality TV show. He says, well, where do you struggle? I mean, where are your dark places? And I thought, I got rid of those in the 80s, man. Not anymore. I mean, healthy food and regular exercise provides me with a life I could have never imagined, and it's a fun ride.
Well, Tony, you mentioned the word guru, and it made me think of another word, outlier. I'm sure you're familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's work and his book Outlier, and it's you fit the mold of an outlier for the fitness industry, because there's a lot of people that want to do or dream of doing what you've done, and very, very few ever make it to the point you've made. What do you think made you an outlier in this space?
I think it's a couple of different things. You know, when I was growing up and I look at the training techniques and methods that my coaches had in the 70s, it hadn't really changed much since the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you know, and I think it still exists throughout this country. It's very myopic in nature. I mean, these people, a lot of diet folks and trainers have this sort of one-dimensional view of it, and they just assume that because it was what their coaches and their coaches handed to them, that's what's going to work. Most people, I think, have a great aversion to physical discomfort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's got to be a delivery system, a form of rhetoric that disseminates this stuff in such a way where people get excited, stay excited, and then make the shift a permanent shift. And I think what I've done is I've given people multiple options. Like if you look at P90X or now P90X3, you'll see me on screen, and you'll see 3 versions of an exercise, which gives people a starting point. It's not all pretty, happy supermodels in the background doing everything perfectly. That's very intimidating. Say things like hit the pause button, or skip this exercise, or march in place, or flip me off, whatever it takes. And I add humor. I don't think a lot of trainers have ever been able to do that. Maybe it just wasn't in their nature, or that it's really hard for them. You know, humor is one of those gifts that was handed to me from the gods. Yeah. You know, and some people find me obnoxious.
You can't please them all, you know.
Can't please them all, man. Please a majority of folks out there who are looking for solutions in such a way so that they look forward to coming back and doing it again and again. So the modifications have always been there, a gentle approach, maybe some tough love when appropriate, and just, you know, my expression, do your best and forget the rest, kind of says it all. It really just says your best today is not going to be your best from a week ago or from a month ago, and maybe you're a little bit sick, your biorhythms are out of whack, or you didn't, you know, maybe you had a couple of cocktails last night. This is life, man. Your job is to show up. Your job is to show up, try to be as consistent as possible, don't be attached to the outcome, enjoy the journey along the way, and add some variety to your fitness. I mean, my success also comes from the fact that I understand multiple disciplines when it comes to exercise. Mm-hmm. It's not just bodybuilding. It's not just CrossFit. It's not just track workouts. It's not just spinning. It's not just the elliptical. It's resistance. It's core. It's functional. It's Pilates. It's yoga. It's stretching. It's spot training. It's everything. Mm-hmm. You know. And when you work on multiple planes, when you train like athletes, and you give people modifications and you make it fun, you're going to sell a few million copies of your stuff. And I think the reason why a lot of people aren't as successful as I am is because they haven't figured that out yet, and I hope they never do.
Tony, you mentioned in your little bio there at the beginning, you mentioned you moved out and your diet was still a little bit garbage. You know, your chicken chimichangas, and you would exercise it off, maybe relying a little bit on your age at that time to give you a little bit of a margin of error. Now with all the experience you have, all the millions of people whose lives you've touched, can you exercise off a bad diet?
Some people can. 22-year-old ectomorph Kenyan runners can. You know, 40-year-old mothers of 4 kids with a busy schedule, who's never been athletic, who has an aversion to exercise, can't. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So, you know, one thing I've learned in 30 years of training is one size doesn't fit all. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm not vegan, I'm not paleo, I'm not flexitarian. For me and you and I both know this, it's the quality of the food that you consume. Yep. It really, really comes down to that. The fat, sugar, salt, chemicals, processed food, factory foods, fast foods, it's all junk, it's all garbage, it's not pronounceable, it's nothing that your great-great-great-grandparents would even recognize. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, get back to basics and figure out how to make those foods taste good, and you're going to give yourself a wide array of foods that are going to, you know, release the proper hormones for all your internal organs and your brain to function properly. Mm-hmm. You have to do that 100% of the time? I don't know, man. Some people can. I mean, robot people can. But, I mean, you know, I reward once in a while for my good behavior. And so if it's a piece of key lime pie or a chocolate chip cookie or a brownie once in a while, great. But I'm not going to eat donuts and pancakes and waffles and fried bacon and white bread. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't serve my body. So you know, like I said, occasionally, oh, wow, is that a fresh French fry? Yeah, give me that French fry. You know, that's 7 hours. I'm eating a late lunch, and some guy's got a French fry. I'm going to stick it in my mouth. You know what I mean? But in general, the goal here really is to train smart. Yeah. Work on your weaknesses. Because automatically, when you work on your weaknesses, it's going to up your intensity because you're learning something. You know, these people that go in the gym and get on the elliptical for 45 minutes, 4 days a week. I don't know how that is possible. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather jump up, you know, down a set of stairs or roll myself down a set of stairs than do that same repetitive, ridiculous motion over and over and over again. Now, obviously, if you're starting out and it's new to you, maybe the elliptical is the transition device that you need to start to move in a different way. That's absolutely fine. You know, some people need to walk around the block before they start climbing Kilimanjaro, right? So, and especially when it comes to food, quality over quantity. And you know, I'll also have to keep in mind, and this goes back to your original question, some people are ectomorphs. They just are. Their metabolism is different than a mesomorph or an endomorph. It just is. And some people are naturally more flexible. Some have a higher pain threshold. Mm-hmm. Some people have less stress in their life. Some people, their cortisol levels aren't as high as some other people's are because one guy's a working on Wall Street and the other one yoga instructor. Trust me, metabolized food is totally different, right? Just purely based on the level of stress. I mean, we don't talk about stress very much, but man, when you can regulate that and get that under control, you're gonna train better. You're not gonna get hurt as often, and there's a greater likelihood that you're gonna have the discipline to eat better too.
Well, Tony, you mentioned earlier a aversion to physical discomfort, which I think we can all agree with, that most people have an aversion. They're not like, oh, I like physical discomfort, but you are known for being an innovator in the space of saying it's not about just going through the motions. It's not about just get on the treadmill for an hour a day. You got to put something into it. It's about, even we talk about quality of food, talk about quality of exercise, getting that intensity level up. How do you transition people in your personal experience to this just go through the motions mindset? I just put in the time, to that it's not about just putting in the time, it's about putting in the right time and exercising smarter, like you said. How do you help people make that mental transition?
Well, if you look at the original product that we created with Beachbody, it was called Power 90, and we just actually did an updated version of it coming out pretty soon here in June. I think I might have given away the farm. That's not true. I made that up. Power 90. These workouts were under a half an hour, and our customers had phenomenal results. And under a half an hour. Most people assume that you got to go to the gym, right? You got to spend an hour and 20 minutes in there doing weight training on one body part, and then spending whatever half an hour, 40 minutes on a cardio machine. And that's archaic, antiquated philosophy. We're talking about quality again here. It's the quality of what you're doing. It's the range of motion in which your body is moving, and it's the variety of exercises that you need to be doing so that you don't need to spend that kind of time in the gym. And so, we created P90X. Those workouts are about an hour, just under an hour. And that was the traditional way of in my opinion, at that time, 10 plus years ago, to get people in phenomenal shape. So what we basically did was we eliminated the drive time between, the house and the gym, and then the wait time between, sets at the gym, and we condensed it all in front of your TV set. So there was a bunch of time saved there. But you're still working out for almost an hour. The yoga routine is an hour and a half. That's just me. I like an ass kicking. I just do. And now I'm going to go at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to go to my hour and a half, level 3 yoga class, and I'm going to be sweating, bullets in there. That's just me. But, the science has shown lately, and this is true with 10-Minute Trainer, and we created 10-Minute Trainer for a vast majority of people who looked at P90X or Power 90 and said, sorry, man, not my thing. Don't like to exercise. Don't want to spend that much time at it. So it was really about sequencing. It was really about making sure that each and every move was super efficient and the entire body was involved. So over the course of that 10 minutes, they're going to get phenomenal results, because they're not just doing the same repetitive movement on a bike or a treadmill or a VersaClimber. Well, a VersaClimber is kind of a bear, or an elliptical machine, which is going to lead to boredom and injuries and lack of results over the course of time, because your body adapts to that same movement over and over again. But if you're jumping left and jumping right and going forward, and you're mixing in yoga with weight training and stretching and Pilates and bang, and all these things are condensed into one thing, then you can get a hell of a lot of results out of 10 minutes. And one of the other things too that we've learned, as popular as P90X was, I don't know, 5 or 6 million copies around the world. Why didn't we sell 15 million copies or 20 million copies? There's a whole lot of people out there that could certainly use those benefits. And that's why we came up with P90X3. There's no dilly-dallying. There's barely enough time for me to talk, which is really, I got to tell you, Jonathan. Right into it, man. We created a separate disc, which is a warm-up disc. It's called Cold Start. Use Cold Start if you need it. I know you're working out in your basement and it's the middle of February and you live in Minnesota. You probably don't want to, jump into those plyometric push-ups right out of the box. So we gave you a separate workout to warm up. But for the rest of us that want a short 2-minute warm-up, we get right into it, and it's about sequencing the exercises. And I know I've said that once already, so that in the shorter period of time, you can get a whole lot done and see crazy results in 90 days.
Love it, Tony. Well, you obviously have been all over the screen, and you have a previous book, but now you've got a second book here. Am I correct? This is number 2?
This is technically 3. I had an ebook too. The first one was Bring It, and then the next one was Crush It, and we were going to call this one Annihilate It. We just thought get away from that.
I think you should have just called it Read It. That way people would kind of understand, oh, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do with this now.
I like the way you think, dude. Fourth book, read it.
So Tony, tell us about the book is actually called The Big Picture. You talk about 11 laws. What inspired this work?
This is the book that I've always wanted to write. And typically guys like us in our space, you get to your publisher first time and they tell you what they want you to write based on whatever popularity you have. And Bring It was a great book, but it was kind of an extension of stuff that I've already done with the DVDs. It was a diet plan and a workout plan and some basic information. The 11 laws are actually mentioned in Bring It. But the great thing about, you and I were with Harper and great folks over there, and they let us write the book that we want to write based on our expertise. And so these 11 laws came out of about 30 years of experience. Like, what was the secret formula to help people not only lose weight and get in shape, but really begin to enjoy their life and have it be an easy, basic part of who they are, the foundation of who they are, so that at this point forward, the big picture really becomes less about them and more about what they can do to help our society, to become better parents, to become better students, to become more productive, more adventurous, have a greater desire to explore the earth, taking the indoor training and the decent diet and sharing that with other people who need their help. That's really what the big picture is. Can you imagine just for a second that if everybody ate really well and exercised all the time or exercised just enough so that they can be able to sustain their high quality of life, how dramatically this earth would change? It's crazy. We'd all be, driving space cars. I don't know. I'm going to go fly up to the rings of Saturn because we've got that technology now because everybody's been so sharp and so smart and so productive and living to be 110 years old that we're just getting a whole lot more done, So that's really what the big picture is. It's a combination of variety, consistency, a certain amount of intensity, having a purpose, having a plan, loving what you do, finding times to relax and recharge and restore, getting your stress under control. It's a simple formula. Look how popular the 10 Commandments and the 12 Steps are. I just found a really awesome number in the middle. And I just went, here are my 11 laws that have helped me. This is the stuff, this is what I needed because, I was the struggling kid, the frustrated kid, the big procrastinator, the horrible student, the bad athlete. And what did I do, Jonathan? All I did was I started to eat better and exercise. I didn't go to graduate school. I didn't work harder on this. I worked harder on everything from the neck down, which affected this. Because as well as I do, if you're eating right and you're exercising, you're going to release more norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin. John Rady in his book Spark talks about BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. And so it's these proteins and molecules that are inside of our noggin, just sitting there waiting for us to move our butts. And we create neurogenesis. And so it improves cognition and memory and sex drive. And it turns pessimists into optimists. It's the fountain of youth, man. It's freaky that I'm this happy all the time. I always feel like drop. But if I just stick to the rules, stick to the laws, then life is but a dream, man. Life is a dream.
I love it. Well, it's wonderful to show how that which let's call them some who haven't experienced it, may just see as a pursuit of vanity is actually the exact opposite of that. It is a platform on which you can build this masterpiece which transcends the physicality. That's really just a stepping stone. It's something we can control. There's no politics involved, whether or not, you put the right thing in your mouth. You don't have to depend on someone else for that. You've got control over that. And those small victories, as you know, start to allow you to make much bigger victories, which is really cool.
Well, you nailed it on the head. The two things that you control, honestly, in your entire life, are what you put in your mouth and whether you move or not.
Yeah.
Think about all the other, you can't control the weather, your family, traffic, people at work. You have no control over those things. Your kids, you think you do, but you don't. Control you. Things that you can control, and you really are as good as your last workout in your last meal. And so if you're eating crap and not moving, then what a shock your life is harder than it needs to be. And so if you really can get these two things under control, you begin to think outside of the box. You begin to explore more. You want to travel more. You want to solve problems more. You know what I mean? You don't feel the burden of life so much. You have a desire and willingness to attack it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you become an example. You become this light that people are attracted to, and they think, man, you used to be a screw up. And I didn't see you go to graduate school or special ed classes. You're slimmer, you're happier, you're more productive. Tell me what that is, what that formula is. And so that's really ultimately what I'm trying to do with the big picture, is just explain to people that, look, man, if I can do it, who never graduated college, who was the biggest procrastinator in the world and never exercised and ate garbage all the time, if I can do it, you can do it. So it's really that simple. It's the backbone. I'm going to ignore it, though.
Well, Tony, I love it. Well, obviously you've done so much. You've been at this. You've been dedicating your life to this longer than many people in the field have been alive, which is amazing, and we salute you for that. So, so it's very wonderful. What is next for you in this journey?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There's a couple of things that I'm really, really excited about. Number one is, I have a home delivery food service called Tony Horton Kitchen. And it's organic food that is delivered right to your door. There's a paleo version, a flexitarian, a vegan version, vegetarian version. And it comes fresh to your door. It's triple sealed. It's organic, no GMO. It's pretty rocking, So, when it comes to home delivery food, it's not an easy business. A lot of people, it's a very kind of new frontier for people, because they're used to that traditional model of going to the store and parking the car and breaking out their list and throwing their stuff in the cart and then dragging it home and sticking everything in the refrigerator and pantry and freezer and then pulling it all back out and all the pots and pans. That's just what we've been, getting it delivered to your door. So all I have to do is heat it up, eat it up, and throw away the container. That's kind of new for folks. But the really neat thing is that 7-Eleven and I are beginning to work on delivering Tony Horton Kitchen to 7-Eleven stores in Southern California. We're going to start there. We're hoping around May. We've approved all the meals, and it's really neat that a big corporation like 7-Eleven understands that a lot of their stores are in the middle of food deserts, and Slurpees and hot dogs and Red Bull and and Cheetos, there's a place for those. I don't know where.
In the garbage can? No, I'm just kidding.
No, man. And so I think it's very commendable that they have come to me and said, hey, we really like your food service. We want to be able to provide that for our customers as well. And so that's going to have a huge impact, so we have great expectations there. Also, I'm at the early stages of my new clothing line, Tony Horton Apparel, and I've gotten all our samples, and this stuff is so beautiful. Right now, we're working on the women's line. We want to make sure that the gals get this cool stuff as the guys are getting. And so we're hoping for an early summer launch on that, and we had a really, really cool meeting about that as well. And a brand new YouTube channel, Tony Horton Fitness. If you haven't seen it, you know what I mean, and you like Tony Horton products, but you want some new stuff, there are some rockin' killer 5 to 8 minute workouts. I know how you are. You're just like me, Jonathan. Doesn't have to be an hour. You can get there's a all burpee 5-minute workout. Destroyed me. But oh my God, I got an amazing pump. I got that oxygen flowing into my brain, norepinephrine flying, and so that's really excited about that one too. So lots going on. Still super busy. The brand new launch of P90X 3 is really taken off. People love the fact that we've condensed an hour-long P90X workout into a half an hour. It doesn't mean that they're the same workouts, all new moves. So Tony is very, very busy. And last but not least, I've been to 48 military bases around the world, from Kosovo to Korea, and we're looking at lining up our next one coming up here in 2014. And I just love working with our military. I've been to the Pentagon twice. I've been to the Canadian Embassy. I got fans from Paul Ryan to the First Lady. So crosses all political lines, and that's good, because that's what it's about. So. That's where I am, man, and we're excited about 2014.
Well, that's awesome, Tony. Well, I so salute you for spending so much time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, frankly, because I can imagine it isn't always smiles on helping people on a mass scale to live better.
Hey, man, are you always like that? I mean, do you ever... Yeah, I mean, I get impatient sometimes, maybe once in a while. That's one of the things that, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's something I'm working on. But for the most part, I'm telling you, if you do these simple things, it's smiles all the time. I'll run into people at the airport or in a mall, and they'll stop me, and I'll be running for a plane, man, and I just want to hear their story, because their story is something that I need to hear so that when I run into somebody else, I can say, hey, man, I just met this person. You know, I met a kid skiing, 6'7", former collegiate lineman.
Wow.
Blew out his knee, didn't make the pros, got up to 400 pounds, lost the weight with P90X, and he showed me a video right there in the lodge of him doing a flip off a cat track on his ski. A 6'7" former lineman doing a flip on his snowboard. His eyes, he says, "You're the reason why I can do that." Look, you can't. That's all smiles all day, dude. That's, you know what I mean. So it's cool.
I love it, Tony. Well, thank you for setting that wonderful example. And again, give us a few names, the book, the product, the websites, all the good stuff.
You want to hear them now?
One more time, yes.
You've got Tony Horton Fitness on YouTube. Go there, like it, subscribe. I appreciate that. The Big Picture just launched this week. It's really the 11 laws that will really change your life. It's changed my life. It's changed a lot of the people's lives I've met over the course of the last 30 years. So run out and get that. Look for THK in 7-Eleven in Southern California at first. So if you're a Southern California person, run in and say, I demand my Tony. And of course, P90X3. It's been out now almost a month, and we're getting a lot of day 30, day 40, day 50 pictures, and it just goes to show you what a half an hour can do. So if you have a busy schedule and you still want to get ripped and healthy and fit, check out that P90X3, baby.
Beautiful, Tony. Thank you so much for all that you've done, all that you continue to do, and for all your wonderful energy and for sharing that with us today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for having me on. I'm a big fan of yours, man. I think you're just, we need to collect more guys, like more outliers, man. We are the basketball league or something. I don't know.
There you go. Well, and if we combine the X with the O for outliers, then we got hugs and kisses and we're all good.
You're the man.
Thank you so much, Tony. And viewers, I hope you enjoyed this wonderful conversation as much as I did. Our guest, as you know, is the amazing Tony Horton. And remember, this week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. We'll chat with you soon.